Morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We'll call the Criminal Justice Public Safety and Emergency Committee meeting together. For March 19th. First order of business is to approve the minutes of our prior meeting. Supervisor Strainer, second. Supervisor Driscoll. Question? Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Any comments? Privilege of the floor? Before we start our- All right, seeing none, we'll address the sheriff's agenda first. We have the undersheriff with us this morning. Without objection, I'd like to move request number 1 and 2 together. They're both transfer of funds. The first is to amend the county budget, transfer $165,940. That remains in the sheriff's 911 center. And the second is to transfer $492,667 in the sheriff's 911 center budget as well. Both transfers necessary to utilize funds in 2024. Under Sheriff, anything else?
No, sir. We have the money in 2023. We're just transferred to 2024. So we can.
All right. Motion move that by Supervisor Conover, second Supervisor Etu. Question or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The third item is to authorize the auditor to make a one-time payment to Tyler Technologies for an operating system upgrade and server migration in the amount of $21,624. Under Sheriff?
Yes, sir. We needed this for our operating system. The server migration was eminent, or we had to do it. We ended up doing it last year late. And we just need this authorization to pay it. We have the money in ARPA funding that we had already in our budget.
All right, motion to move that. Supervisor Driscoll, second. Supervisor Mayday. Questions or discussion on it? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Under Sheriff, anything else?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. Next, we've got a Director of Emergency Services, Anne Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we're on the,
You want the intersheriff?
Terry walked out. I was
Okay.
gonna just- So I just wanted to give you an update. Magnetometers. We did I was just gonna update him on the magnetometers and tell him where we are right
Oh,
now.
yes, sir. Okay. I
Um,
didn't bring that paperwork. with
So
me.
we had Evolve Technologies come in or show us what they have. We've been talking about the magnetometer at the DMV entrance, and this is a technology that we talked about that's unobtrusive. You just walk through, and there's software that picks out actually where on the person that something that you might be concerned with. So they walk in today with a backpack. If it goes off to a magnetometer, you got to search the backpack. You take all that stuff out of your pocket. In this case, you don't. It says, I've got something on my hip as I walk through. It comes up on the screen and the security guard then can wand or search in that area. Unfortunately, when we had the presentation, it appeared that the cost to us would be about $20,000. And it turns out that's the cost for the software that we pay, but we have to buy the equipment first, and that's about $47,000 for each setup. So we backed off of that, and I think we're gonna try have another demonstration by another group to see what might be practical for DMV entrance. So.
Yes, sir. I have another vendor that I'm hoping to reach out. I reached out to him yesterday and he'll get back to me. There are vendors out there. It's just a matter of whether or not they're interested in presenting to us. I can, if you know somebody or have somebody that you've seen before, this is a Great Escape. You've been through the Great Escape line. This is the same, the Evolve is the same operation as they have. It's a little expensive. I do have a meeting with them this afternoon to chat about this. It was a surprise to me as well. The amount of money.
Just wanted ongoing discussions and investigations on what we can do down there. In the past, the discussions have been, we can't put a magnetometer there without dramatically changing the entrance at the DMV, and there's probably no room for that. So
This is less invasive. This is going to be this is going to be guns. I think the smaller knives, narrow it down. You know, we're not gonna pick off smaller knives. We're smaller, sorry, man. Things like that, but these are gonna be rifles, shotguns, ferrous metals, guns in general, bombs. It does, yeah, it will snip that out, so to speak. So those are things that, you know, we were focusing on.
All right, thank you both. Appreciate it.
thanks. Sir.
Move on to emergency services. Amory, you've got two requests. The first is a resolution request to appoint members of the Warren County Fire Advisory Board for the term May 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2025. There is an attachment with all the names if you had a chance to look at that. So, Amory.
Very minimal changes to it this year. We did switch out Haig for Bolton. Chief Griff Lambert is going to be on the advisory board this year, hopefully. And we did add Deputy Chief Motor on for Glens Falls Fire Department, as Jamie has retired last June, I believe it was. And Jamie has now been moved down to the non-voting members as part of OES, the hazmat coordinator. And Jeff Daly was on as chief in the past of West Glens Falls. He is now a third deputy coordinator, so he is on the non-voting member list. And Chief Tyson Converse is on in his place.
Okay, Amanda's passing out that list. Have a motion to move this? Supervisor Strainer, second. Supervisor Conover. Any questions or discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The second request is a resolution to amend the 2024 budget to accommodate the fiscal year 23 hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant, the amount of $16,000. Emery?
Okay, so this grant was just added on. This is something that we do get every year. It's also part of the consortium grant, so there are 7 counties that will be participating with this particular grant.
Motion to move this forward. Supervisor Mayday, second. Supervisor Strainer. Any follow-up questions, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Emery, any discussion items?
I just have 2 things, I guess. First one's really quick. Test kits for COVID. The state is no longer going to be sending those to us. So at the end of this month, they're finished with that. So what we've got in stock right now is about 4 cases, and they expire April 30th of this year. So that's going to be it for COVID test kits. The other item we have is Elise Stefanik's office has reached out to us as well as others regarding she's got FY25 community project funding requests. And we did submit one through OES. We submitted it last Friday. We're looking for we need an EOC. We do not have an emergency operations center, and it's important that we do have one. So that was the initial push for the requests. And then if we take a look at our office, we are bursting at the seams and we definitely need some more space. So we did submit a request. We had reached out to our DPW office, Kevin Hajos and Scott Rogers, to come up with a estimated cost for this. And the office was accepting conceptual ideas as well. So we figured we would submit this at this time and then see how it fares going forward. Another part of the request was to add on an ALS ambulance and an ALS fly car to help support the new regulation for counties that's coming out in Article 30D, part of the Essential Services Act for EMS. Counties are going to be responsible to make sure that calls don't go unanswered.
Okay, Administrator?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. We would have preferred to bring this to the committee first. It came, the notification came a little short notice for us. And the congressionally directed spending this year, it's pretty restrictive. We thought we would apply for regional morgue as well. We couldn't make that fit into the criteria that they provided. These are, sometimes they have them in Congress, sometimes they don't. It depends on who controls Congress. These are basically earmarks where Congress member of Congress can mark certain money for specific use in their areas, in their districts, in their states. We will have an opportunity to present some to Senator Schumer and Senators Gillibrand on April 5th. So we're looking to see what would fit in that regard. But Representative Stefanik's request terminated. We had to have it in by last Friday. We think this makes sense. It'll give us paramedic support that can be used across the county to augment the emergency EMS agencies that currently exist. So if we're successful with this, it'll be a good thing for the county. Thank you.
Thank you. It'd be a terrific first step. Anything else, Anne Marie?
Well, that's it.
Okay, any questions for Anne Marie or the administrator on this topic or anything else for emergency services? All right, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Finally, today, we have our district attorney with us, and I don't believe there's any resolution request, but we have one discussion item.
That's right. No resolution request, but a really kind of boring discussion item, I would say. And let me get to the interesting part, which is there may be something coming our way that's going to cost money. So that's why I'm here. It goes back to the discovery laws that hit in 2020. People have heard me discuss our obligations. Well, in the process of dealing with that, of course, our office, and I think every office in the state eventually went full digital. And we're using something called the Prosecutor's Case Management System, which is free. That is tied in with something called Digital Evidence Management Systems, which is where the storage is occurring, but it's all integrated together. It's very useful and it allows us to keep our copies and share our copies pretty quickly. Soon thereafter, the state police started implementing body cams throughout the state, and they went with a company called Axon, which I think is the most popular company going. And then I see Terry's here, the sheriff's office, when they went to body cams, this county contracted also with Axon, which for us is convenient because you're using the similar platform. Glens Falls has body cam, they use a different system. At any rate, so we have to kind of navigate all those to gather all this and turn it over. And it's been working well. I got an email about 3 weeks ago from Axon that said, hey, this connection that we have with your software, if you use an API, it's shutting off April 1st. So of course, I don't know if it's using an API. So I called them and they said, oh yeah, we use an API. You need to get a contract with Axon so it doesn't shut off. So I've called Axon, I've talked to them and they said, oh yeah, you're going to need that. Everyone, we're doing this across the country. So I've had 2 meetings with Axon so far. I did contact the sheriff. I think I may have included Terry on the email. I can't remember, just to alert them to this. I'm looking to see what our options are. We're tied to Axon because not only is our county contractually tied to them for our sheriffs, but also all the state police in the whole state are using it. I'm trying to figure out if there's any alternatives. I don't think there's not an alternative company, so I don't really have that as an option, but we're looking to see what can be done here. It is an expense that we would have to incur to keep all of these links that we've been using to share all this data related to body cameras, those connections open. In my meetings, they have assured me that because I'm now communicating with them, they're going to keep that, they call it a tunnel, the API tunnel. That's going to remain open for a period of time. So this April 1st shutdown is not going to happen. I've been assured of that. And since this has happened, I've been in discussions with many of our DAs across the state, some of them who didn't even know it was happening. So I was like, well, you better call because April 1st is coming fast. Obviously, there's a lot of distress amongst the DAs that I've talked to and some upset, but we're trying to figure it out. And I explained to this woman who's working for Axon, I said, look, we're not in our budget. We didn't deal with this in budget time. So and of course, every DA seems to be on the similar budget schedule as our county. So they're all saying the same thing. So I was in a meeting yesterday. We've had another meeting this afternoon. I'm not asking for anything right now, but I wanted to alert everyone because it came upon me so quickly. I felt very last minute. So I wanted this group to know this may be occurring. Expenses. They have not sent me a proposal, but they have 3 tiers of service. And the lowest tier is not, it's not in my eyes like some outrageous expense, but you're looking at, and I'm estimating somewhere in the 8,000 to 9,000 a year cost for the most basic service. The most expensive service, it looks like around $22,000 a year. And there might be a one-time fee for setup of $5,000. So not nothing, right? We do have, and we have been accessing those discovery monies, those grants. I think that money that we're using would certainly apply to this. I don't know if I should say this, so maybe I won't. So maybe I won't say anything more. Otherwise, I think that whenever you're in a negotiation, it'd be nice if you had some leverage or negotiation, some power. I don't know that we have a lot right now, but we are a group of DAs. So I'm wondering if maybe as a group, we could collectively work with this company to see if we could do anything about cost. I know the city has already dealt with it to a degree. I was in contact with a DA down there recently, as recently as yesterday. A lot of negotiations are going on right now across the state, and it sounds like across the country. So I wish we weren't a part of it. I wish this wasn't happening, but it's a new thing that's been sort of dropped in our laps very recently. So I wanted everyone to know, and I thought if you had any questions, I could try to answer them.
Supervisor Strainer?
This isn't a yearly contract
It is, so they're,
now, or?
well, I don't have any contract with Axon right now. The county does, the state police do, and many police agencies do. I think, Terry, I don't know if you even know off the top of your head, but I think it's a 5-year contract that sheriff's has. Axon's been doing about 5-year contracts with DA's offices. They also do 10-year contracts. And I think the difference is because as you can imagine, they build in a percentage increase each year. And it depends on which tier you get. Some of the tiers include unlimited storage. And as you can imagine, body cam footage is massive and massive amounts of storage. As you go up the tiers, you get other features. The highest tier includes, it will do a transcription of every body cam that comes through. I could take a body cam from another agency that's not part of Axon, put it in there, store it there, it would transcribe and the storage would be covered. Sometimes we'll do, you'll call it a cell phone dump where you're doing a full cell phone. It might be, some of them are upwards of a terabyte of data. That can all be stored in that unlimited tier, but as we know, you have to pay for all that.
I would assume that if you don't pay for the highest tier, at some point, it's going to cost you money anyhow, because your staff's going to have to do some of that additional work versus being done electronically, automatically.
Well, that's the workaround that I'm looking at is we could, in theory, figure out a way to get all the agencies, Terry, to get us those videos differently. Then we would have to download all of those videos. Then we would have to upload those they would go into the digital evidence management system, and then the cost would get paid on that side. And that cost, of course, would keep growing as that space grows, because that's based on how many terabytes of usage that we have. So I don't think there's just an easy solution. I think you're absolutely right. And my fear of doing it that way is the volume isn't going down. These cameras become more and more sophisticated. So it's more and more data, as the resolution increases, the data space, it's a massive amount of data. So that would be a potential system that you could use. And I think if you were a really small county, with maybe one agency and smaller crimes, you might think about that. I don't love the idea because everything we've done up till now, that tunnel that I've discussed, when it shuts down, it's going to impact any existing case as well. So you'd have to figure out how to backtrack every case.
Okay. Well, Jason, when you get to the point where you decide what you need for the most effectiveness, I can tell you that we'll provide as much support as we possibly can for you. Supervisor Conover?
If I understand what you're saying correctly, I'm not sure I do, what Exxon is saying is that they want everything to migrate to their family, their service network that they can't be dealing with all these different, providers
Right.
with all of their products and that, so in that sense, I'm not sure we have much choice, really.
Well,
Am I thinking about this correctly?
I think you got pretty close for as poorly as I explained it. So it is already, once state police and then the sheriffs, and this is just our county, but this is pretty much every county, went with Axon. We were not taking Axon videos from evidence.com and bringing them into digital evidence management system. They included with it what they're calling a tunnel. And that tunnel allows our system to receive those and then create links so that the data is housed in what's called evidence.com, which is connected with Axon. But we're not moving it into digital evidence management system. So it's already housed there and they weren't charging us for that. But the connection is what they're going to charge us for because they said it's costing them so much money. They don't want to take on that cost anymore. They never intended to, according to them. And so it's not that I have to take everything that I have and migrate it over. It's really body cam specific. However, depending on the tier you get unlimited storage that goes beyond, it's anything you want to store on the other side. My big concern right now, beyond the money, is now having almost two systems at play. We're completely invested in this one system. Everyone's trained on it. It works. We've had great success with it. The defense is accustomed to it. Being split into two systems is obviously a big stressor and a concern, and you're gonna have to retrain everyone. And I almost feel like we're already there in a way. And this is very early for me to kind of sort through, but we still are really, I don't want to say locked in, but like our prosecutor's case management system is the system. And almost every DA's office in the state of New York uses that because it's provided as a part of us being part of the New York Prosecutors Training Institute. They give us that software and I love it. I'll give you an example. I know one of the people that runs the software in Albany, and I've communicated with him over the years and said, hey, could you modify this software? And this, if you added this, this would improve it. And they made the ad for me. I just was in touch with him a month ago and I said, look, there's a way, I see a way to make it a little bit better. Could you add this other feature? And they're going to roll out, and this will roll across the state of New York. So everyone will have this new feature at no charge. They're going to implement that for us. It's worked really well. But as you know, as this stuff was rolling out, body cams were starting to roll out at the same time for many, New York State Police is the biggest agency in the, I think in the state, probably, maybe NYPD is bigger, but it's one of the biggest. And then I think Washington County probably uses Axon. Most of the places are using Axon to do this, and it works. But we're now seeing, once they sent me that email, which thank God didn't go to my junk mail, because it was one email. And I think it did go to some other junk mails. So that's what we're dealing with is one, the financial side, and then two, what is this going to look like for us to meet our burden of getting everything to the defense? So I really do want to, at this point, my hope is to keep that tunnel open so that everything we've been doing continues to work. So we're in compliance with the discovery obligations that we have. Yes.
So you say this stores this body camera images. And if we let this lapse and we no longer have it, where does that information go? Do we lose it completely? Do we have to find some other way to get a storage thing or?
I don't think we lose it completely. I'm, like I said, I've met with them twice so far, and I still have unanswered questions. I think what we're going to lose first is what they're calling it a tunnel, but it's the connection of them to our system. And the way that tunnel has worked is it allows us to send links. So the defense then can access that link, and then they'll download their materials. And I know here we have the public defenders, but we also have all these assigned counsel and all the private. So it's not just, county employees, it's any defense attorney that has a case with us. So they're able to access those. That piece is what's going to shut off if we don't work something out. If that shuts off, then all those disclosures that we've made no longer work. So that's the big concern because of all the timeframes that they've put into the discovery law and all the requirements. and the outcomes, which can be ultimately just dismissal of a case and without the ability to prosecute it. So I think it's that, they call it an API. The other word they've used is a tunnel. And it's that connection between their system and our prosecutor's case management system.
Anything else on this issue? All right, Joe, thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah, and I'll keep you posted. I'm hoping to get some more information, and we'll see where it lands.
Sure, we
Right, thanks.
appreciate it. Thank you. All right, there's no other agenda items. Privilege of the floor from our committee. Anything else you want to bring up? Other supervisors, Supervisor Driscoll?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, it was an issue that I brought to Amanda's attention. She reminded me, past Friday after our board meeting, one of our new members was over at the Human Services Building and literally had to empty his pockets in order to get through. And I was reminded, I'm not sure where mine is, but we were all issued name badges with our face on it. So I would, for those new supervisors or newer supervisors who don't have maybe a history here on the at Warren County, keep it on. It'll bring you through some hot spots a little quicker. So I guess that's it.
Okay, thank
Why
you.
the issue them?
Yeah.
Anything else from the committee members? No? Other supervisors? Members of the public? Seeing none? Accept the motion to adjourn. Supervisor Mayday, Supervisor Gilligan, any discussion, question?